Hi everyone, welcome back to the Daytona office hours. As always, we will go over the latest updates in our open source project. So let's take a look at the commit history, starting with last week's office hours, which should be, I think, September 18th. And the first PR will be number 2435 by our colleague Mirko. This was just a minor fix regarding sandbox state change event handlers. So good that this is fixed right now. Next is a PR regarding network settings. If you remember, recently we introduced a way for organizations to limit outgoing network traffic for their sandboxes. This PR introduced a minor fix relating to sandboxes that were assigned from a warm pool. So this is now operational as well. Moving on, we have a docs contribution by our solutions engineer, Nicola. Kudos to him. This was very comprehensively done. So now we have computer use documentation in our docs. This is the legacy repo. So if you go to the sidebar, you can now see that we have a whole section for computer use. So Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. Just as a disclaimer, for Windows and Mac OS computer use, this feature is currently in private alpha. So to request access, please fill out the access request form that you can find in the documentation. Moving on, we have a major improvement from Mirko regarding current working directories in Daytona sandboxes. The working directory now defaults to the workdir instruction specified in Docker file, with the user's home directory serving as a fallback when this instruction is not provided. Moving on, a clarification was added to our documentation by Ivan regarding maximum resources that can be assigned per sandbox, and a note to contact our support to let us know that your exact use case is justified for lifting these resources. Next, we have a PR from Goran for feature flags. Just let me open the PR. So yeah, this PR introduces feature flag functionality using the Open Feature SDK, which will now enable us to toggle features dynamically, and of course gives us A/B testing capabilities. Good to have it in our open source project. Next, we have a minor change to our release pipeline. If you can remember from the previous episode of the office hours, we now have a release pipeline fully rolled out in our repository. This is just a minor change in the workflow. Next, we have a PR that tackles an issue that we had with pending quota usage. Just as a short context for this issue, we have a cached value for pending usage per organization to prevent, let's say, like quota abuse by concurrently initiating a lot of requests to our API. But we encountered an edge case issue regarding this, where the pending usage was growing inexplicably for a single organization. And after further investigation, we fixed several things. First, now when there is a domain error when processing sandbox, snapshot, and volume actions, the incremented pending usage will now be correctly rolled back. Second, we introduced a locking mechanism to the sandbox start and the snapshot activate actions to prevent duplicated pending usage increments. And also we corrected the states that were being used to determine the quota usage delta for volume and snapshot state changes, and this issue has now been resolved. Moving on, a quality of life improvement by Ivan, who added an organization label, actually 2 labels for the organization ID and the organization name on the underlying containers, which makes it much more easier to track down sandboxes belonging to specific organizations on the runners hosting the sandboxes. So it's very good to have this added. Again, another PR by Ivan, who implemented multiple backup registry support. This will now reduce the load that we had on our single container registry by making the backupping much more stable. Next, we have a small fix relating to the previously mentioned PR for working directories. Previously, we inspected the container image to determine the working directory, but that could fail when the image hadn't been pulled yet. This PR introduces a change that reads the working there from the container config instead. So this resolves the issue that I mentioned. Next, we had a small refactor for the sandbox access guard in our API. This guard is applied to most of the sandbox API operations and all toolbox API operations. And when we were validating whether the client request was made using an authorized API key, basically the only information that we needed from that sandbox was its organization ID, and fetching the full entity, including the eagerly loaded relations, was completely unnecessary. So this PR now introduces a more efficient query that just fetches the organization ID property necessary for authorizing the request. Next, we have a small change in our documentation made by our community, made by Cesar Garcia. So thank you very much to Cesar, who fixed a TypeScript example that was using, it seems like, incorrect Python syntax. So good eye, and thank you for the contribution. Next, we have a fix to our daemon application, again made by our community. So thank you very much to Vedran. And he explains it here in the description. So since everything is prepared for a graceful shutdown in the daemon application, the toolbox server should return an error instead of exiting by calling the log fatal command when an error occurs while starting the toolbox server. So again, thank you very much to our community for contributing to the project. Next, we have an important PR by Ivan. This is the initial phase of a state reconciling service that we need to have on our runners that are hosting the sandboxes. So this PR introduces a periodic job that needs to update the state of a sandbox whenever an unexpected change in the container state happens. So it needs to be able to update the state in our main database, so in our domain. Specifically right now with this PR, whenever a started sandbox is not actually started on the runner, the interval for this periodic job is 10 seconds. And for now, this reconciling service is set to dry run mode for us to be able to inspect if it's working as expected and to make sure that everything is as it's supposed to be. So in the upcoming days or weeks, we will fully roll out this service, and we should see major improvements by avoiding the unexpected states in our sandboxes. Moving on, we have 2 commits here, but I'm pretty sure this is a single PR and a major one. contributed by primarily Toma and also Bruno, who helped out on the documentation side. So we finally added a Docker Compose setup that allows users to run Daytona locally. You can find the setup instructions here on the link. They are very well written, so you should be good to go. If you have any questions, again, as always, you can ping us on Slack or Twitter. And in this PR, to make everything work, we needed to make a refactor to the dashboard with the way that the config fetching was performed. So now the dashboard application fetches all the configuration values from the API server, and a side benefit of this is that all other potential client applications in the future will be able to consume this config endpoint instead of each one of them having a separate environment file. So thank you very much to Toma for implementing this. We had many people asking for this, so it's good to see that it's finally released. Next, we have several minor PRs regarding this Docker Compose setup. Two of them are relating to our release pipeline, and one of them is just achieving consistency in our messaging in the documentation. Next, we have a small fix made by Ivan relating to the PR that I mentioned before for state reconciling. This was a necessary fix to the sandbox access guard when the runner was accessing the API. So this has now been resolved. And this PR, again, relates to the same original PR. As it's described here, first, it allows the runner to provide several comma-separated states in the query parameter to get sandboxes in different types of states, as well as a flag to skip sandboxes that have not yet reached their desired state, and also minor changes to the logging, and of course, regenerating the necessary API clients due to the changed query parameter. Next, also, again, we have a minor change to our release pipeline. And finally, we have a PR by Mirko with another contribution to our SDK and our API. He exposed an endpoint which supports now downloading multiple files from a sandbox in a single request. So that's it for this week's office hours. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you have any questions, any follow-up information that you need, hit us up on Slack and Twitter. We'll be happy to respond and help. And see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.